So I started G's 2008, right at it was basically the front row seat to the end of the world, and we covered all the primary dealers. So I was talking to all the heads of big banks when everything was imploding. And then we talked to a lot of the buy-side shops, so hedge funds and real money managers. But it was a crazy time. Did that for about 10 years. I've been trading directionally independently for 15. But I wanted to highlight Bitcoin. I won't get into the monthly cycle right now, but just briefly. So there's lots of different cycles, but one of the ones I found in my career is an 8.6 count, and it's a frequency that has to do, it's a derivative of pi, and pi is the perfect cycle. So we built a lot of physics and math into our institutional model. And so this 8.6 count comes up a lot. It's not the end all be all, but it's something that can really help with your timing. And so I laid this out for you guys here on the daily. This has to do with the last run up we've had. And I've been tracking this for a while, but we actually had a 13 count into the high here that was pretty overbought from a regression standpoint, which has to do with standard deviations and other math tools. Most of you guys or gals probably know that tool. It's a good one. I'm looking at the futures right now. And so we've been adding and reducing. We've been pretty bullish, but you can see that there's a good ebb and flow. And whether you're looking, I'll even try to draw a little bit. If you're looking, we use a stochastic, which is an oscillation of motion. It's an equation of motion. Some people use this as overbought, oversold. I use it more as a rhythm. So I care about the time component, not so much at overbought or oversold. I'll use an RSI for overbought or oversold. But there's a good rhythm here, and then this is a sine wave, another cyclical tool. All right, so here was pretty good high, right, with the count on the 13, and you had 3, 4, 5 day pullback. Started another 8.6 count low on this cycle. All right, here's a high, cycled again to another high. Low on the cycle pretty much right in here. There's a good pullback. Another 8.6 count with this stochastic high. So there's a lot of what we call ebb and flow. So some traders a little bit more high frequency, but this is the kind of stuff that we're working on. We're core long, meaning we're holding a position, but then you're buying, selling, some buying, some selling, some buying, some selling. And right in here we had, and so again, this is an 8.6 count, right? So it's not an exact science. It's just a relative tool. So here we went 8 count and then made the high on 9 count. You can round up to 9. All right, started in the next cycle, 8 days down, boom, make the low right into another tool we call the bands, and then had a nice 8 cycle up, basically put in the lower high here. And then what my team and my company and my group we were talking about last week is that this was a very, 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 very key pivot. This was actually the low that was determining this uptrend. And if you broke it, a lot of times that sets in motion the deeper pullback. And so there was room to come back here to the 200. This is a concept like I came up with called a pi line. I could get into that maybe more later as we move forward. And I still think there's room to 24,000. It's not out of the cards. We're basically now in a downtrend on the intermediate term. We're in basically on a 6 count today, and we'll see. Maybe we double bottom here again at 30,000. All right, on the up, we kind of need to get above these highs, which is the intermediate term lower highs. You get above there, then maybe we can make a run back towards 50. A lot of people use the 50-day, which is coming back down in that same area. So key pivot here, call it 40,000, and then still I think this sets up for also this daily cycle is going to come up here and it's going to oscillate probably back down. So this might kind of line up, guys, with another 2 days where we get another pivot. So on the cycle, the 8 count doesn't make a high and a low. A sine wave isn't high, low, high, low, high. Otherwise, you'd always be in a range trade. What it is it's marking turning points in time. So sometimes you'll actually get a breakout even though you're low on the cycle. That's called a cycle inversion. But it's the turning point that matters. So if we get a turning point here, another 2 days of the cycle count, we'll see what happens. Do we turn up through 40,000? That'd be bullish. Okay. Do we make a low into the level that we bottomed out at, 3, 4 days ago. That's how we use the cycle work. So we don't necessarily have to know what happens next. You just need to know how you're going to play it. What's your game plan? So that's kind of the levels I'm watching on BTC. Let me clear this up. And then Ethereum, I just touched on Ethereum briefly. I don't want to make this video too long. I'll just hit on a couple alts. But we bought, my team, we were buying down here towards 2,200 in futures and the coin market. And it's actually held up a little bit better than BTC, but it also was outperforming on just a percentage basis as far as like moving to a new high. It was just a steeper, more energetic, quicker climb. So I'm not surprised that it kind of held in a little bit better. You see, we held the bands here versus the futures broke down from the bands. So a little bit different technical structure and posture there, but we're still better buyers. I think you want to be buying back. We were able to take some profit in the new highs pretty good, so just adding that back. But this will be the pivot low. I don't know what's below there technically. You're going to have the 2,000, which is the whole number, and then you're going to get back to these lows, call it 1,600. It's this whole area. I mean, it's 1371 in futures. I'll start looking at the cash chart or coin chart. Cash meaning you actually put dollars to buy the asset versus futures is a futures product. But I look at both futures and the coin charts. So the cash charts. Anyway, this is support, and then I don't really have much till this low and these lows. It's kind of a whole area down here. And as far as the alts, I'm not sure how many. I'm just sticking mostly to the charts and the analysis. But I don't know how many of you know BAL. It's Balancer, pretty amazing project. I was talking with one of my tech guys yesterday about it. I mean, it's just incredible what this DeFi space is doing. In less than a year, they go from, I mean, the market cap was upwards of 480 million. Diluted market cap now 3 billion. It's just crazy. But that's, you guys can look into that. But anyway, I was nibbling on this, and a couple points I wanted to make here is that you have, so this is the weekly chart. So what we do is look at the lows a lot of time when you're identifying trend, the highs and the lows. Kind of, this was the more momentous immediate trend. And once we took this out and then you took that out, that kind of creates the deeper pullback. But there's a difference between an orderly pullback and something that crashes or has a very steep decline. So this is, you know, this is orderly pullback. This is orderly. This is boom, quick, hard, 2 days down. And why that matters is because on the next rally from here, the bears have created all of this pressure. They're in control. And so the next rally, it's going to be harder to get all the way back to the highs. I don't mean ever. I just mean on the next move. So the probability on the next move is actually that you struggle here about halfway, maybe you go 3/4, and then you get another lower high, and you just need to do more work. You have to digest this, what we call a bearish wall, with my team and our group. So that's something to think about. I mean, I bought yesterday, but I'll be trimming this as we come back up here. You got this support, that support. That's all resistance in front of 48. All right, so that's just something technically I've learned over the years. And so we'll see. The problem with this type of drop, and a lot of the alts have the same chart, is that it's easier to orderly pull back to make a new high. When you have a quick drop, there's so many buyers that are underwater, and the bears are feeling pretty aggressive, that there's just a lot of selling to be met. So usually you're gonna have to work. You need time to go by, or you need price to just rest before you can resume the uptrend. Something to think about. Still bullish on that overall. I mean, anytime you basically get an 80% correction, I mean, look at the Fibonacci on this. From this low to the high, I mean, we basically corrected 80%. So anytime a market drops 80%, you pretty much want to be a buyer in any asset longer term. That's just a huge discount. So that's what I was doing. We were doing yesterday. And then let's just do Cardano. We like. You can see Cardano's actually held up really well. One of the best as far as the alts go. And the reason I say that is just here's a good visual of the trend, the uptrend. This we did break the bands, but everything's still positive. So this low mattered. And we right in front of the buck or the whole number, you made a higher low relative to here. So this has maintained the uptrend when pretty much all the other alts broke the trend on the daily and are dealing with these deeper pullbacks, prices down here, like we just looked at on BTC and just pretty much every other alt. So Cardano looks great. I like that it held in front of a buck. If you sold into 220, you want to be taking profit a lot of times on new highs. Doesn't mean you want to get out, but you let some ride. But that's a great place to take profit on new highs, and then you get a chance to buy back in front of the buck. What's this? Polkadot. There's a good 8 count here too. I was just counting it out. I didn't put on the chart, but you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days up. Or sorry, this is a weekly chart. 8 weeks up, pullback. I'll have to do some work on that, but same kind of looking chart. Steep drop on the weekly. You're going to probably have a lot of resistance between 30 and 35. But again, I like being a buyer in the teens here. Just, man, if you bought 15s, why wouldn't you take some at 30, right? And then just keep trading it around. Is kind of how I'm thinking about this chart. I love this base down here, and then boom, gone. 8 days up. Nice orderly pullback. So still a better buyer there. And then the Dogecoin, I did do an 8-6 count just to illustrate this point one more time. So this is the ebb and flow. I mean, it's all right. Start the cycle. This daily chart. 8 days up. Peak. 1, 2, 3, 4 days down. A half cycle. Kind of bottom out. Nice bottoming tail there in the direction of the trend. That was a buying opportunity. That's a buy setup in our model. Then you have another 8 count. And here you finish 9 days. Boom. That's the high. Again, doesn't mean you have to be out of everything, but those are spots where professionals are taking profits, right? The amateur or newbie is chasing higher highs. You don't want to be chasing higher highs. This is a higher high relative to here. You want to be buying the pullbacks, right? And then we basically had an 8 day drop that culminated with the lower high relative to here. And now we've just had another 8 day drop with a low into 25 cents. So I was a buyer now down here again, and I like this cycle count. We'll see. Can we get above here? Can we resume the uptrend? I guess it probably matters what BTC does, whether or not Bitcoin comes back down and tests its low from this day. It's the same timing. If you take this low out, anything you buy here, you might want to take some risk off and then see whether or not we hold back at these levels. But this is still all long-term bull market. So it looks good. So I hope that helps. Look forward to working with you guys, and best of luck out there.